Hello, singers, and welcome. Today we're going to talk about some strategies for reducing stress and things that maybe you can even do to support your vocal health in other ways. I'm joined today with Louise Tingley from the UK, and she is a voice teacher, vocal coach, as well as a singer, and has become an aromatherapist. And part of that journey is kind of like mine, dealing with stress, and aromatherapy and essential oils are the way she's got there. So, Louise, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. So, so can you tell us a little bit about how you discovered aromatherapy as a way to deal with your stress?
It's actually quite a funny story, really. When I was still living back in Australia, I'd just started up my own performing arts studio. I was working way too many hours teaching, and I was homeschooling my son at the time. And I was trying to find creative ways to help him with various things that he was learning about. And it got to a topic in science of learning about rocks. And I thought, oh, you know what, I'm going to teach him about bath salts. And so we started using bath salts as part of his science lessons. And he all of a sudden said, what about essential oils? And I thought, okay, you're 7, you don't even know what essential oils are. And so he did a whole lot of research and absolutely blew my mind. And so it was out of his curiosity that I actually started to understand and learn and appreciate how essential oils could benefit us in our daily lives at home, through homeschooling, through teaching. I started using just little, like the everyday oils like peppermint and lavender in the teaching studio, so that when people came in, that was like, just a breath of fresh air.
Mm-hmm.
And so over the years, I've just not stopped using them. And I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago, I actually went and did my certification to become certified in aromatherapy. So it was more the love of essential oils, or obsession rather, that really sparked the interest and the intrigue to continue using and to continue learning about how they can help in everyday life.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I found when I lived in England, and I had both my babies there, who are now in their 20s, but it was a while ago. But I found that in the UK, compared to here in Canada, things were much more progressive and more open to be alternative medicines than they had been here. Just my whole experience with childbirth there was so different. And I
Wow.
know that, they had the NHS had childbirth trust. I don't know if that still exists there.
I have no
No,
idea.
okay, but it was great for me being, new to England and not knowing anyone. But they had even just these local mother-baby groups and antenatal even groups that you could get together. And some of the things that they were teaching us were, they'd have these little information sessions, and they taught us a little bit about essential oils there too, which seemed to be like, that was 25 years ago. It seemed so far ahead of what was happening
They
here.
probably haven't progressed any further since then, to be honest.
Yeah.
When I first moved over here, I felt that it was the complete opposite to what you just said. I felt like the UK was just so far behind with everything. And it's a
Um,
completely slower pace of life. It's almost frustrating how little work actually gets done over
yeah.
here.
Yeah. I don't know. I just felt that they were seemed to be more progressive just as far as the alternative care compared to here
That's
in
great.
Canada. So it was. I'm glad that you were able to find aromatherapy, and you're being able to share that with people. So can you explain, maybe for those people that don't know, what essential oils actually are?
Yeah, so basically, essential oils are predominantly highly concentrated oils that are extracted from plants, and they're obviously distilled or steamed in various ways just to really extract the benefits from each of the plants out, and they create oils that you can sort of see like this. And obviously they carry loads and loads and loads of emotional, spiritual, physical, and medicinal health benefits, which you can experience physically in the body. They get into the blood cells. You can diffuse them, so you can inhale directly, apply topically. There's loads of different ways that you can use them as well.
Yeah, so that's great. And I think that some people, though, do have concerns about whether these essential oils are how they're regulated, and some people feel safer doing drugs. Doing drugs sounds horrible. Taking pharmaceuticals as opposed to taking unregulated essential oils.
Yeah, so this is one of the biggest issues with essential oils, is because aromatherapy is not necessarily a regulated industry. There are a lot of people out there who are self-proclaimed gurus of essential oils, and that maybe don't have or haven't studied the chemistry or the makeup of essential oils. They don't understand various components and how they can affect different areas. So as beneficial as essential oils are and can be, they can be just as dangerous if they're not used appropriately. They're never, ever, ever supposed to replace pharmaceutical or medical treatments or anything, but they're a great way to support treatments as well. So me personally, I receive treatment for Addison's disease. And for those that don't know what Addison's disease is, in my case, I'm convinced that it is the result of chronic stress that I never dealt with appropriately. Funny that we're talking about that today. But essential oils can potentiate medicines and treatments that you're getting. So it's always really advisable to make sure that you speak to a medical professional about how you use essential oils in your daily life. You can work with them or incorporate them, but never ever replace the medication that you're taking. You may, with medical support, you may be able to reduce a dosage of a certain medication. Antidepressants is an example of how you can actually reduce the dosage of antidepressants if you're using essential oils appropriately. But again, it's not something that you want to be playing around with or experimenting with without the right support from a professional.
Right. But essential oils seem to be like everywhere. They're in our shampoos, they're in our skincare products, they're in our bath care products. So just having them everywhere like that, is that going to interfere with pharmaceutical use? Or?
No, absolutely not. So there's, I know in Europe and in the UK, we have an organization by the name of IFRA, and IFRA has loads and loads and loads of regulations as to the amount of essential oils that can be used in various products. For example, if you're going to have something that's been applied topically, whether it's a facial cream, whether it's a perfume, whether it's a shampoo or a conditioner or anything that's topically applied in any capacity, there may be some restrictions for certain oils as to how much can be within a formulation. So I create all of my own perfumes using my essential oils, and I need to be very careful that when I create the formulations that I am adhering to the percentages of what's allowed for each oil. Companies that do produce essential oils will always have this in mind. So they will always label accordingly. They will always have all the safety certificates available or information readily at hand so that people can do their own research as well. If you ever were to buy an essential oil that just looks like this, that wouldn't be a great idea, because there's no way of seeing what's in the bottle, whether it's adhering to any of the regulations. These bottles are just what I use when I'm making my own blends. I don't buy them with anything in them. Whereas a company like Revive, for example, they have all the information on the label. You can actually go to the Revive website and actually download safety certificates. You can find out what allergens are in, or the components of the essential oils. Young Living, doTERRA, they all adhere to the regulations for the safety side of things as well.
Okay, yeah, that's great to know. Now, you mentioned a bunch of different companies that produce essential oils. Are there some that are better than others? And again, because it's unregulated, do we know whether one's more potent than another, or what should we be looking for?
Yeah, okay, so this is quite a hard one, because I don't want to be seen or shown as giving favor to any particular company per se. I personally choose Young Living, but that doesn't mean that I wouldn't ever use doTERRA. I have Revive here, which is a cheaper alternative. But whether or not an oil is 100% pure or pre-diluted is real. That's ultimately what you want to be looking for. Cheaper oils, obviously, because the price, unfortunately, the price of essential oils is quite steep. So you are going to get what you pay for. And because obviously the regulations, it's not as regulated as it could be. A company only has to have 3% of a pure essential oil in order to actually claim that it's 100% pure on a label. So that means that only 3% of the bottle could be essential oils, and you don't know what the remainder is. It could be a carrier oil, it could be other fillers, there could be some really nasty chemical components in there. And if you don't have the ability to go to a website or a farm even and understand where the oils have come from, how they've been distilled, if they've been third-party tested, that's when you're going to get into a little bit of trouble. And of course, oils that you buy off Amazon and sometimes off the shops, the shelves, they can be filled with all sorts of nasties and different types of carriers. And even a carrier oil can spark allergies or sensitivities to skin. So personally, I choose Young Living and Revive. I love that the Revive website is a cheaper option. I know that they're pre-diluted, but I know that I can then go find out what each oil has been diluted with. I know that I can access a safety data certificate, so I can see that it's been third-party tested. I can see the dilution rates. So especially if I'm using it for perfumes, I can incorporate that dilution into my formulations. And then my third-party testers will take that into consideration when they're granting my safety certificates as well. I mean, Young Living and doTERRA, they do pre-blends that do have carrier oils in. They do little roller blends similar to that, which obviously do need to be pre-diluted with a carrier because they're being applied topically as they are. Different oils can be applied neat, or they will need to be diluted depending on an individual's responses or reactions to different oils as well. So when I'm looking for good quality oils, I'm ultimately looking for an oil that smells insanely great. The more I have a response, the more I think, the more heavy it feels. That's a really good sign. If it's really light and volatile, it's like it might just diffuse too easily or too quickly. Yeah, so I don't know if you'll be able to see this over the camera, but if I was to hold my hand up and just drop an oil, you should be able to see that came out fairly quickly. This is my favorite blend, actually, so it smells great. Whatever happened to technology creating smell-o-vision?
Yeah, that would be great. Smell-o-vision. Right now, I would love that.
So that oil came out rather quickly because this is an uplifting oil. And uplifting oils are great for stress reduction. They help you to get out of that funk. But it's also a little bit lighter or a little bit faster coming out of the bottle because it's pre-diluted. So I'm able to put that on my skin directly without any issue. Some people might find that that's still too potent and might still need to spread that with a carrier oil, but that's something that a consultation would determine.
Right.
Tests and things along those lines.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. So, okay, let's now get it to the heart of the thing. We now know what we should be looking for and what they are. So how can they help us as singers? So let's start with the stress. We've been talking about the stress. So,
okay, so as singers, we know that stress affects our body. I mean, there are different types of stress. There's emotional stress, there's physical stress, there's circumstantial, but it all affects us physically as well as emotionally. And as singers, we need to allow the emotion to flow through us. So if we're holding onto a stress or a tension, we're not going to be able to communicate through the music as well as we want or need to. So oils that I love, 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 and always have in my kit for helping stress relief are the Young Living Blend Stress Away. Revive does do a variation. It's not the same. It is obviously formulations are patented and all of those sorts of things, but it's very similar. Stress Away itself is a blend of copaiba, which is a muscle relaxant, lime, which is really great for uplifting, cedarwood, which is a really good grounding oil, vanilla, which is that really sweet, warm sort of fragrance. It reminds you of mum's cooking or something when you're a kid. So that's a really good one that just helps you just to take a step back and just breathe. And the other one that I love is Valor. Again, it's another Young Living one. But Valor is more about that, having the courage to deal with or process the stress that you're going through. It's not as muscle relaxant, but if you do apply it to the back of your spine, it helps the spine to realign. And of course, every single nerve in our nervous system runs through or from the spine and directly to the brain. So having those two oils combined in my kit are my go-to. The rule of thumb is if you're smelling an essential oil and you have a oof reaction, that generally means that you need it. And the best way to incorporate that is to apply it topically with something that you love and that you have the opposite. Oh, I love that fragrance. Oh, I love that smell, that sort of response. So you're still getting the oil that you need without having to deal with that, oh, I don't like that smell, emotional reaction.
oh, that's interesting. I would think that something that would make you feel good that you are attracted to would be more of what you would want to uplift you.
Exactly.
So it is counterintuitive.
It is. It's quite strange, but once you start to realize how you start to shift and how the body responds and reacts. I had an experience probably about 3 or 4 years ago, and this was the defining moment when I really realized that essential oils were making a difference. I'd gone through a really nasty divorce. I was going through an international custody case, and it had fallen into the category of the Hague Convention of Parental Child Abduction. So my ex-husband had my son and had completely cut off all communications. But then I had received a text message saying that they were putting him on a one-way flight to the UK. He was 12 at the time, and he didn't have a visa. And of course, I've gone into a huge panic attack because if he's coming into the UK without a visa, then there's immigration laws that are being broken. Even though he was from Australia and coming into the UK, he could have been here for a short period. But my mind just wasn't in that place of processing things. I was in an immediate panic attack. It was at the sort of within the first few months of having been diagnosed with Addison's disease. So I immediately went into an Addisonian crisis, which I'd never really experienced before. So I'm hyperventilating. My now husband was trying to figure out how to inject me with my emergency injection kit. And he's going, you're just going to have to just breathe because I don't know how to do this. And I said, look, just get my essential oils, just get my stress away. And I put my stress away on, and I rubbed it on my wrists, and I just put a little bit on my temples. And normally we would say avoid putting essential oils on too close to your face or too close to your eyes or something. But having that through my temples and on my wrists, within minutes, my breathing had regulated, the tears had stopped, and my mind was so clear that I was then able to phone the immigration lawyer, actually find out what would happen if they did put him on the plane, what would happen if he did make it to the UK without an active visa. And I was able to really start to work through and process the emotions. It was a hugely stressful time, but I've not gone without that baby ever since.
Good. So that's wonderful that it helped you in such a time of crisis.
It was a huge wake-up call for me. I think I was only just starting to study aromatherapy as well at that time. So that was my defining moment of, okay, this works. It's not just a placebo effect. It's not just me being hippy-dippy. It's that actually worked. And I was then able to realize and make informed decisions based on that experience, and now seeing where it works in other areas of my life, using it in the diffuser in the teaching studio when I have clients coming in, helping you cleaning, even cleaning products through the house, using it in my washing to get rid of the smell of some detergents. And
yeah. Well, it sounds like that blend also would be just perfect for someone who's suffering from musical performance anxiety too.
Exactly. Yeah. Hugely. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought of that one. It's been so long since we've done any sort of performance.
Oh, I know. Yeah, but things are opening up, and I know that as things open up and people are performing, especially for our friends in the United States, there it's opening up more than elsewhere at this moment, yet, that Delta variant is rearing its ugly head. So there's so much stress around that. So it really makes it hard to be able to sing freely right now. So
yeah, completely. There are other oils that I do tend to recommend as well. There's a blend called Trauma Life, which is good for helping people really work through and deal with various traumas, whether they're deep-seated or happening in the moment. Although I do find that sometimes they work so well, the tears might not stop. So if you're releasing a trauma or releasing a stress, sometimes it's really good to just make sure that you have the space or the time to let the emotions flow. Because often we can find ourselves in those moments and we're like, oh, I'm not ready for this. I'm just, the tears aren't stopping. And that's where
I know, and that's counterproductive if you feel that you have those tears and then we're trying to hold it in just because we have to deal with whatever's happening, and it's just going to cause that to block up even more in the body. So giving yourself that space is so important. So that's a very good tip. So thank you for that. It's not something that we always, think of. We think like, okay, I'm feeling this and I have to go and deal with this. I better use this oil, and it might not be the right time. And then all of a sudden it's like,
floodgates.
Yeah, so it might not be the right time. So
I have one that I use sparingly because I find that it releases anger. And so every now and then I'll use it on a client, and of course one of the best ways to use essential oils on clients is through massage, and I will always be frustrated the next day and wonder why I'm feeling so intense, and I'll be like, I used that oil yesterday. And I'll be like, right, okay, so I'm angry for some reason. But it's really, really strange how the body responds, and sometimes you don't even know why. But just letting it is always a really great idea, but you've got to have the time or the space to allow that to happen.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so how else can we use as singers? Can we use that as a preventative measure to help boost our immunity so that we don't get sick?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's some really, really great oils that you can use either if you feel a cold or flu coming on, or as a preventative. I absolutely love using eucalyptus all the time. I actually started using it because I missed Australia. And my mum
Yeah.
said, well, why don't you get yourself something that reminds you of Australia? And I was like, oh, eucalyptus oil, there I go.
Yeah.
So I always apply just a little bit of eucalyptus oil just to my sternum. I'll always sort of massage up through my clavicular. Sometimes I'll sort of massage through the larynx and behind the neck, really sort of unhinge those muscles, draw a few circles with my head. Breathe it in, really, really feel the oil sort of go through my body through inhaling or direct inhalation. So eucalyptus, peppermint, Revanzara is a really, really good one if you're really full of cold or flu. There's a blend that Young Living does called Common Sense, which I purchased the first time just because of the name. But that's actually really good for having that clarity of mind when you're not feeling great, when you're all bung up and whatever else. Young Living also does another blend called Breathe Again. Again, it's a roller, so it's pre-diluted, so it's safe to apply topically as is. If you do have extra sensitive skin, you might want to use a little bit extra carrier oil. But again, I just sort of rub it through my chest, through behind my ears. I will often just do a little circle in the palms of my hands and just inhale directly that way. That's a blend of the 4 different types of eucalyptus: peppermint, copaiba, and myrtle, which is actually really good for the thyroid and the throat region in general. So that actually helps to alleviate the muscles through there as well. So sometimes we get really tense when we're talking or singing. That's really good to just keep that area nice and free. It also has blue cypress and Laurus nobilis, which is again another really good one for clearing the mind so that you can focus. A really great preventative, which is available as cleaning product as well, is Thieves. Again, it comes as the roll-on or it comes as an undiluted pure oil. And I believe, if I remember correctly, I think that's a blend of clove, cinnamon bark. I think it's got a bit of lemon in it. So lemon, we know, is always really good if you've got a sore throat. I think it's got eucalyptus and rosemary, which is another good one for clearing sinuses. Excuse the person beeping as they drive past. But yeah, the Thieves, the Breathe Again, I use all of those sort of during performances as well. I've done a few rehearsals over the past few weeks for a performance we've got coming up next in 2 weeks' time, actually. And I've been using the Breathe Again at rehearsals, and everybody comes up and goes, "Oh, that smells good. That clears the airways, doesn't it?" It's always really good. Yes, it does.
Okay.
So that's a great one as well.
All right. And so if someone already has a cold or a sore throat, is there anything that will give them some relief?
I would use all of those oils. I would sort of apply through my neck. I'd apply to the temples or behind the ears, depending on sensitivities. Obviously, without a consultation, you don't know if people have allergies and things along those lines. So I'd always advise somebody, if they were thinking of using essential oils, to actually see an aromatherapist first, just to determine whether or not they are the most appropriate essential oils. It is important to know and remember that the best essential oils are the ones that your individual body responds to. So whilst these might be great for me, they might not be the best oils for somebody else, depending on their individual circumstances, any allergies, medical history, those sorts of things. But typically, the go-to oils would be your peppermint, eucalyptus, thieves, lavender. Lavender is actually a really underrated oil. And frankincense is affectionately termed doctor in a bottle.
Mm.
So if you've already got a cold, if you've already got a flu, or if you feel it coming on, yeah, just all of the oils.
Okay. All right. And well, I mean, as you said, they're rather expensive, and sometimes singers are on a budget. So if they were just going to start out, they're not going to have a whole cabinet and array of oils. So which, let's say, 2 or 3 oils that a singer could just get started with and see if they work for them.
Okay, the 2 or 3 oils I would highly recommend is either eucalyptus or peppermint and lavender.
Okay.
Just, you can use them for everything. Peppermint is really great for muscle relaxant. So if you've had, like, after a workout, lavender helps you sleep. It clears the sinuses as well. Together, you if you're diffusing either of those together, your house will smell like a spa. And it's both uplifting and relaxing simultaneously. They're the ones that have always sort of been go-tos. The less popular ones would be frankincense. Frankincense is quite expensive as an oil. It's one of the more expensive oils, but if there's one to invest in, that's another really good one. And the thieves, definitely the thieves.
Yeah. So as you say, that oils will react differently for different people. So of course, then we want to make sure that we are using something that is appropriate for us. And so I guess the best way is to see an aromatherapist.
Exactly.
Yeah, as you say. And I think that you said that you had a special offer for people who are going to be joining us on here.
Yeah, obviously, I'm based in the UK, so I can do things virtually, but I'm happy to offer a reduced rate consultation to anybody that has questions or would like to have a consultation, or if anybody would like to actually purchase some oils, I can make a few recommendations and offer the consultation as part of the purchase of the oils.
All right. And would you like them to just mention that they had seen the video at the Pit Singer? So yeah,
definitely.
Okay, yes. And then I will leave Louise's contact information in the comments so that you'll be able to contact her. I don't know if I have that ready here, but yeah, after this goes up permanently, then I'll put it in the comments and you can come back around if anyone's watching live now. But anyway, then is there anything else you would like to add about essential oils that maybe we haven't covered? I know that you could probably talk for days on it.
I could talk for days or weeks, really, about essential oils.
But just maybe anything else, like especially as singers specifically.
One thing that I will mention is there's a very, very controversial topic with essential oils about the consumption of essential oils. There are some throat lozenges and various things that do contain essential oils. However, it's really, really important to know that the companies that are incorporating essential oils into foods or vitamins or anything that can be consumed, they are adhering to the regulations of the percentage for the formulation. So I know that there are some people out there that tell people to, put a whole drop under their tongue or something. I would not recommend that, as it could be highly, highly toxic if you're not careful. So obviously that's, again, something that you need to be consulting with a professional about. And also the safety of diffusing essential oils around pets. There are quite a few essential oils that are not appropriate to be diffused around pets. Even so peppermint and lavender, they're both the lower end of the toxic spectrum for dogs and cats. So there may be some dogs and cats that aren't affected at all by those, while there are others that may be more sensitive and may experience side effects. So it's always good to be aware of what you can and can't do around your animals. If you do have animals and you can't diffuse, or you have a husband or a child that doesn't like a certain scent, another good way is just to apply something to your feet and put some socks on. So you're still getting the benefits. You're still being able to smell the fragrances and inhale them directly, and obviously have the oils go through your bloodstream without having to worry about poisoning your pets.
Yeah, I know. I remember one time I had a really bad cold when I had to go perform in an opera. And I just had these cotton balls soaked with eucalyptus and lavender stuck down my costumes.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that was the best way.
Actually, a little bit of lavender on a cotton ball in your ears is really good overnight, if you've got a cold or flu, because that will help the sinuses as well, because obviously the ears, nose, throat, it's all connected. So never put it directly in your ear, but just on a cotton ball, sit it in there, and you'll feel the difference the next day as well.
Oh, that's a good tip. Yeah, I like that one.
So many more.
I know that I have put it, like, cotton balls on my pillowcase, and sometimes I've just like put some drops on my pillowcase. That's not one that I want to keep because it could stain. But right.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I have this. Like, whenever I get sick, I have this pillowcase I put on and put stuff on it. Yeah, just so that it's with me at night. But
my husband's he used to be a skeptic, and now he'll say he gets migraines quite often. He'll come to me and go, "Where's my migraine blend that you made me?" Or he'll have a sore back and go, "What essential oils can you help give me?" And
yeah,
bless him.
Yeah. And well, thank you so much, Louise, for sharing all this with us. I really appreciate it. I think that everyone who watches this will find that they've probably come away with this knowing a few extra things. Probably want to have a listen back to some of the oils that you mentioned there if you weren't taking
Not a
notes.
problem.
But yes, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you, and I wish you all the best with your aromatherapy as you go on there.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. And thanks for having me on, and for giving me some really good questions.
Yeah.